I never imagined the people who raised me could turn against me. One phone call, one cruel plan, and suddenly, my own parents were trying to throw me out of the house I grew up in. Also, my sister could own her first home. But then my 7-year-old daughter did something that shattered their control, and you won't believe how. If you're ready for a story of betrayal, power, and revenge, hit subscribe now, because this one will stay with you forever. My name is Hania, I'm 32, and I thought I knew my family. I thought our home was a safe place, a place where love was unconditional. But I was wrong. It all started last summer when my mom called me out of the blue. Her voice was colder than I'd ever heard it, like ice running through the phone lines. "Hania, we need to talk about the house," she said. My heart dropped. I couldn't understand what she meant. The house had been in our family for decades, the place full of birthdays, holidays, and memories. But suddenly, it felt like the ground was pulled out from under me. When I got there, the truth hit me like a freight train. My parents were sitting at the kitchen table, their faces stiff, controlled. My father, usually so warm and protective, looked like someone I didn't know. My mom started speaking before I even had a chance to breathe. "We've decided your sister should have the house. You need to move out." I remember sitting there frozen. My mind couldn't make sense of it. "What? Why?" I managed to whisper. But there was no answer that could make sense. My sister, only a year younger than me, was grinning like she had just won a prize, as if she had orchestrated this from the start. I felt my heart twisting, my trust shattering in ways I didn't think were possible. I went home that night, staring at my daughter, Emily, sleeping peacefully in her bed, completely unaware that her world, and mine, was about to be turned upside down. She had just turned 7, and I had always believed that protecting her meant shielding her from adult betrayals. But the cold truth was that she would be caught in the middle if I didn't act. My mind raced. How could they be so cruel? How could they betray me in my own home, the place that raised me? The anger was like a fire in my chest, but so was the fear. What if we ended up with nothing, with nowhere to go? For days, I barely ate, barely slept. Every time I looked at Emily, I felt the weight of the decision pressing down on me. I couldn't let my daughter grow up thinking this was normal, thinking that family could treat each other like enemies. I remember sitting in her little room, holding her tiny hand and realizing something. If I didn't fight back, they would win. And not just the house. They would take the last shred of my dignity, my sense of safety, and even my belief in the people I loved. It was the night I decided I couldn't stay silent. I called a lawyer, started digging into every detail I could about the house, the property, everything. But more than that, I started paying attention to something I hadn't expected. Emily. She noticed the tension in the air, the whispers behind closed doors, the cold stares. And for a 7-year-old, she reacted in ways that were almost frighteningly perceptive. She asked me questions I couldn't ignore, questions that made me realize she understood more than I thought. "Mommy, why do they want to kick us out?" she asked softly, clutching her favorite stuffed animal. I felt my resolve harden. I couldn't show her fear. I couldn't let them see that their plan was working. From that moment, I wasn't just a mother anymore. I was a fighter. Every glance at Emily reminded me that I couldn't let them win. Every quiet step in the hallway, every whispered conversation behind closed doors, fueled my determination. I didn't know yet how this was going to end, but I knew one thing. I wouldn't let my parents rewrite my life, and I certainly wouldn't let my daughter grow up thinking betrayal from those who are supposed to love you is acceptable. The seeds of revenge, of justice, were quietly taking root. And the storm that was coming was going to be unlike anything they ever imagined. I knew I couldn't face my parents directly without a plan. Every move had to be calculated, every conversation recorded, every detail noted. I started quietly, gathering documents, receipts, anything that proved my legal and financial stake in the house. I reached out to neighbors, old family friends, even the town's property office. While they thought I was panicking, I was preparing a storm they would never see coming. And all the while, Emily watched me. She didn't fully understand the legalities, but she felt my determination. Sometimes, she would squeeze my hand and whisper, "Mommy, we can do this," and it felt like a spark of hope lighting the dark. Then the day came. My parents called me into the living room, smug and certain. My heart pounded, but this time it wasn't fear. It was purpose. I handed them the first set of documents, showing my full legal ownership, my payments, and everything they had overlooked. Their eyes widened, then narrowed in disbelief, and finally, in anger. This can't be right, my father stammered. My mother's face went pale, and for the first time, I realized that their control over me had vanished. I stayed calm, letting every second of silence stretch, letting them feel the weight of their betrayal. But the real shock came when Emily, standing beside me, spoke up. She looked my parents straight in the eye and said, "You can't take our home. This is Mommy's and mine. You've been mean and now it's not okay anymore." Her voice, so small yet so fearless, cut through every lie they had told, every excuse they had made. My sister's face crumpled, and I realized she had never expected Emily to be the one delivering the final blow. That moment, simple as it seemed, was powerful beyond words. Their world, the one they had tried to control, was unraveling right in front of them. From there, everything moved quickly. My parents backed down, not because I begged, but because the truth, the law, and the undeniable courage of a 7-year-old left them no choice. My sister avoided my eyes for weeks, embarrassed and guilty. And me? I felt lighter than I had in months, free from the shadow of betrayal, free from the constant anxiety of wondering if my home, my life, and my daughter's safety could be stolen from us. I realized that justice isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, methodical, and firm. And sometimes it comes from the least expected source, a child who refuses to let the world be unfair. Sitting in my living room that evening, Emily curled up beside me with her favorite blanket. I felt an overwhelming wave of relief and triumph. I whispered to her, "We did it, baby. We didn't give up. They can't take this from us." She smiled, eyes twinkling, and I knew she had learned something powerful too, that standing up for yourself and your family isn't just right. It's necessary. And in that moment, I also forgave myself for the anger, the tears, and the sleepless nights, because they were part of the path that led to victory. Looking back now, I see that betrayal doesn't have to define you. It can awaken strength you never knew you had. It can teach you resilience, courage, and the power of unwavering love. And if there's one thing I want anyone watching this to take away, it's that no matter how deep the hurt, no matter how dark the moment, there is always a way to reclaim your life. Always. If you're going through betrayal, injustice, or feeling powerless in your own family, remember Hania's story and remember Emily. And if you want more stories of courage, justice, and emotional victories, hit subscribe and join me, because the next story might just change the way you see the world.